Well, g'day, Max there again. Welcome back to the shop. So, as you've just observed, we were carrying out a bit of underway grinding. So, grinding where our keepers run underneath the bed to bring that back to some reasonable level of tolerance. So, initially we had 7/1000 variation from one end to the other on this front way, and the rear way there's 2.5, which I still have to do. So we'll swing it out, we'll show you a look at our setup, and then we'll check our measurements. So yeah, just a simple setup. In a previous video I've gone through this woodwork router and its setup. When we initially tried to grind the vertical sections of the way, we had 2,000 come off each side or something like that, and I wanted to try and take at least some of that out by grinding, but as I explained in that video, it wasn't really successful. It tended to just follow the taper, so I wasn't happy with it. So we ended up scraping the whole thing back to spec. But in this case, it seems to have worked very well. To true up, the underway guide. Now, it would have been an absolute mission. I'm not sure how else I would have done it, actually. You can't get underneath there to scrape it, so I thought, oh, let's just try this, and it worked perfect. To get your to get your adjustments, for your grinding depth, I kept things really simple and crude. Just 2 bolts, nuts, and all I was doing to set my depth, set the wheel in, and just slacken off the bolts only a fraction, rotate the wheel and give this a bit of a tap up with a hammer till I could feel a wheel contacting, and that worked out great for the depth for my next cut. So that's basically it in a nutshell, and it saved me some big hassles. So I'll do the other side off camera. It's just a matter of reversing my setup here, and yeah, all should be good. So let's have a quick measurement of what we've just done. Yeah, and so my aim was to get it below 0.02 of an inch, variation from 0.07 of an inch, what we started out with. So we've actually come up rather well. 1.244 and a half, 1.245, 1.244 and a half, 1.245, 1.244 and 3/4, 1.245. Now this last bit here, the grinding wheel was fading out, so 1.244 and a quarter, 243 and a half, 1.244 and a half. So basically, except for the little bit here, we're pretty well within 0.005 of an inch. So that's really good. My new blades finally come in for the Casto. Lovely. So I'll get that, I'll be able to get these blade holders finished off, and we can have some trial cuts. So I've done a couple of passes on this side, and every 2 or 3 passes or if you do an initial heavy pass, just gotta, or I find it, I prefer to wait till the stone cools back down again, because it does get quite warm. So while that's cooling down, earlier on in the day I threw a bit of bearing glue up on the bed, so we could see what's happening with the underside of our saddle. So yeah, as I suspected, it's getting rather heavy contact here where I don't want it to. So this could be affecting this and this up here. So as I said, I don't think it's supposed to run on that, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to relieve this. We'll scrape this back. I don't mind if it's got minimal contact on there, and the major contact is, yeah, on the main shears. So we'll give this a bit of scraping action to relieve it, and then re-blue it and see if anything changes here. Looks good. I think we'll have a measure. What I do to get under the gap here, I just reconfigure this around on the other angle, and then I know where I've stopped here, which is at the beginning of the gap. So yeah, then I just back grind back till it levels out. I'm picking up a bit of a taper transversely, which I don't want. I mean, about a 1/2 thou taper running down that way, so the further in the fatter it gets. It's not what I want. I don't mind it tapered if it runs the other way. The further in the smaller it gets. I don't mind that, but I don't want it wedge shaped like that. So what I'll do is I'll take the stone out, dress the stone, and we'll take another cut. Bit like for size and parallel, yeah, we're coming up. I just keep my measurement to the outside. We're bang on parallel, which is good. So I'll go redress the stone, and then we'll have a finished cut. So I've just redressed the stone so it cuts more on this end than down here. I just did that in a small lathe, just using the compound slide, just angled over very slightly. So we'll take a couple of cuts down, see if we can't level this thing out. Not bad. We're just looking underneath now, and you can see, boy, if you look at that Sharpie marker there, so we're cutting on the inside now. So we'll just bring our cut up. We'll do a couple of cuts and then take a measurement. So to put on another cut, we just slightly slacken these mounting bolts off. Then I'll hold the stone with my fingers, rotate it round, just give the bottom of the bracket a slight tap up. That's it, till I feel the stone contacting the underside. And we'll just give this a nip up. Can feel a little bit of drag there. It's only small, but that's all we want. Okay, so let's run down again. So I'm stopping the cut right over the joint and the gap. It sort of minimises out a little bit there. So when we come back from the other direction, I know where I'm working to. So I'll run another cut through on the same setting. Uh, 1.244 and a couple of tenths on the outside. So we go further in. We go right in. 243 and a half. I'm just going to run. I'll run another couple of cuts down without changing the setting, just a couple of spring cuts. But we're getting very close now. So I'll bring you back after I've done those for our final measurement. You get the idea of what's going on now. So, okay, I think we're looking pretty good now. Uh, 1.237 3/4, and we are relieved on the very inside, so we've ground it so we're not a wedge shape, where we do have a little bit of relief and a nice even flat spot for the keeper to run out. Yeah, 1.237 3/4. 1 point, what did I say? Yeah, one point, just a hair under 238, 1.238. It's only a couple of tenths. 1.238. 1.238, probably 2 tenths. 1.238. Drops off a bit. 1.237.5. So that's good. That's come up really well. So I need to reconfigure the grinder now. So we'll swing this plate around so we can grind from the other way, and we can pick up on the very end of the gap. So we've got about 1/4 thou to come off here. Okay. So we've swung our grinding head around the other way, so we'll pick up on the start of the gap where we couldn't reach before. You know, I'm sure when we first trialed this vertical grinding the sides of the shears, or that front one there, yeah, I chickened out pretty early because I didn't want to make a mess of it, you know, and that's why I spent a lot of time scraping it back. But I'm sure if I had more material to remove from those sides, we would have had a good result like what we're getting here. Like, you know, we started off with 1/7 thou, and that gives you a lot of leeway to play with to get your setup right, you know. You're not just picking around 1/1000th of an inch, you know. So I think that's why it's what's given me a lot more confidence in this setup, having that extra material to remove and getting my head around how the thing runs best. So yeah, we're just going to back grind back this way and pick up on where we finished off. Hopefully. Okay, let's get a bit more of a cut on. It's not as critical right down the end here because that keeper hardly ever will come down here. I think it normally sits up here. It is set a bit way. Pretty sure it's set a little bit back, but we'll still try and get it right. Okay, that's going well. We'll get another cut on. Two taps with a copper hammer. Okay, this is going very well. I'll bring you back when we're finished, but yeah, you get the idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so we've come up really good at the end. Final measurement, 239, same as the other end. At 239 there. It does have a little bit of a hollow right in the middle here. It's just the way that it's worn or the way the grinder's ground it. It could be influenced by, there might be a bit less wear on the centre way. It could be reacting somewhere weird with the grinder. 237 and a half, 238. 239, 239. What's really good is, yeah, I'm getting, when you run something over the gap, like a slide like that, you're not feeling any humps and bumps, so it's coming, the alignment's beautiful. It's best that we can get it anyway, so. Okay, that's the underway. It's complete. Let's give you a shot underneath so you can see the beautiful job the dodgy grinding setup done. It's a bit of a struggle to get my phone up there, but did a really nice job. This is on the front side, so we'll have a look at the rear, the one we've just done. Whoops. So this is under the gap where we've just done. Really nice. And looking a bit further down the bed, it's come up very well. So unless I come across any other issues along the way regards to when we fit the tail stock and the saddle and our keepers, our underway keepers, I think that's pretty well the work completed on the bed at this stage, but we'll know for sure when everything's on and see how it's all fitting in. So I need to get a bit of an initial measurement on how we're travelling with the faces of our gib compared to the face of the saddle and how parallel they are. It's not something we're going to be able to easily check with blue on the machine because of the constant battle we're dealing with the warp on this gib, and it scrape it straight and it just warps again overnight. So I just sort of want to get a bit of an average. I'm just using a inside mic. Just want to get a bit of an idea, sort of where we're sitting. Good reading there. Come down here. And we're getting about the same sort of reading, you know, give or take half a thou. So that's looking good. Now these bolts are to take the bow out of the gib to make sure it is held back. This is the center section we want bigger, and we are several thou bigger. Just. Probably a thou bigger. Okay, so I'm happy now we can go ahead, we'll do our test fit. So I'll get the bed blued up, we'll get this flipped over and sat down, and just see what we are dealing with when we hook it back off and have a look. Hopefully I've relieved enough out of this, because this was contacting pretty heavy when I just did a quick initial check. So see how we go. Okay, so I got a bit of blue on the end of the bed here, so I'll do an initial check right up the end. That should do it. We'll hook her off and have a look. Okay, looking at our vertical way, we're touching at the end. A couple of spots at the very top up there, and we're touching down there. This middle way, a couple of spots there it's picking up on. Now the main front way, we've sort of got pretty well 100% coverage under that half. Picks up at the front of it, then drifts off. The width of it drifts off. Coming down to the rear way, you got a bit there. Okay. Okay, so what I'll do is we'll repeat that again, and we'll do it in the center, and then we'll do it at the headstock end. Okay, so we've just done the same procedure in the center. I'm not sure if we got a little bit longer contact there. About the same down there. Yeah, just slightly nicking the top of that center one. Pretty well a full coverage. Probably a bit less just than that first area down there. Bit similar on the rear. That's what we've got there. Okay. Yeah, I need to compare. Once I've done all three checks, I need to get a still shot and compare all three. Okay, so I'll go and do the headstock end now. Okay, after testing at the headstock end, similar. Bit lighter up here. We'll have to compare this to the other shots. Little contact spot up there. And once again, we'll have to compare this to the other shot. Okay. So I think my best course of action now is to repeat the test in the center, but with the weight of the apron assembly on there and the rear keeper, and the keeper's in place, the underbed keeper's in place, and repeat that test and see if any of the contact areas change underneath. And yeah, I think that's going to be the proper way to proceed. But we'll only do the center. If we get no change, then we know we're going to have no change further down the bed. And then I'll make a decision then, once I've assessed these photos, looking at one to the other, whether it is actually worth doing any scraping on here. Yeah, under the main area is really good. I'll have a think about it. So I think what we need to do next is get the underway keepers sorted out. So yeah, there's the keeper gib that goes in under here, and oops, there's another one goes in under here. Yeah, they've got to be in place before the apron can go on. Well, this is very interesting. So I've got a 1.5 thou feeler gauge jammed under the keeper and the way, and I've got the keeper nip down, and it locks it up. Same both ends, the other end is exactly the same. So if I take it out, yeah, well that was still tight, but I've just slackened off the bolts on either end. The middle bolt, that's still tight. That slide's beautiful. So I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of scraping on this keeper. The centre seems alright, it's like the ends, like it's got a bow in it or something going on with it. So we'll take it out, blue it up, find its tight spot. So we're going to have to improve on this then. Over the years, someone's taken to it with a grinder. You feel like it's been hollow ground under there, and I'd say they've done that. So when you close or tighten up the bolts, they haven't touched the back, but it would slightly pull this up further and decrease the gap as you'd need to do. So I think what I'm going to do, we'll put this in the milling machine and we'll mill this flat. We won't go all of the way across, we'll just keep shy of where it runs and we'll treat that as a separate level. So we'll take a cut across here, so when we clean up, we're cleaning up where these bolt holes pick up, and then we can deal with taking the required amount off this separate. Yeah, it was almost too good to be true, bolting that straight up and having no play there. So, okay, to the milling machine. So we've got our keeper just set up in the Bridgeport here. So what we need to do is we need all of these areas, we need them all level first. Then we step down this area, leaving 15 millimeters from the center of the hole to the edge of our cut. And we step this area down 8/1000ths of an inch lower than this area here. So for now, I just need to get a clean up basically on it all. So when we pull up with our bolts, we're pulling up onto a proper machine surface, not this hollow ground area that someone has done. So we're just running this through all in light cuts. As it's hanging out the vise, you get a bit of ringing, but I've got the machinist jacks under either end just for a bit of support. So we've got a full clean up now over this back edge. We're close enough to our 15 millimeters at this stage. So I'll bring the table up 8/1000ths of an inch and just see what sort of a clean up we get. I'm not that fussed about what happens here in the middle, but I am where the bolt holes are. So it has to be full clean up round the bolts and this rear area, which we know is already going to be okay. So we'll just come up 8/1000 here. Something like that. And run our cut through again. Just need to get a measurement from the centre of the hole. We need 15 millimetres, so we've got another 2 millimetres, say 80 thou to go. So I'll shift the table across 80 thou and send our cut through. So we're close. Bit to go here. That's okay. That's, you know, I would have let that go if that had cleaned up that area there, because the machining still covers the bolt hole and the rear of the bolt hole. So let's come up another 5/1000ths of an inch, and it should improve these. We'll see how it goes. And we'll have to reduce this by 5/1000ths of an inch as well. It's only left a tiny pocket there. Realistically, I can't really see that giving an issue. These aren't horsed down super tight or anything like that. They're only nipped down. So we'll let that go, and we'll just adjust our height here. So I've just got to drop the table down 1/8 thou, and we'll take a run across here. Right, we'll take it out and go and have a test fit. We've got our 1/8 thou step here. And see how it goes. I'm expecting we're going to have to fiddle with this. We could be 2/1000ths of an inch or 1/1000th of an inch. If it's only a little bit, we'll scrape it. If it's more, we'll mill it. To get our initial 1/8 thou measurement, I had a parallel strip clamped on here, extending through to our underway guide there, so I was able to get an approximate measurement with a feeler gauge. So with it lightly nipped down, if we can move the carriage, that's good. If we can't move the carriage, it means we've got to take a little bit more off that thin land. I'd say we just I can move that a little bit, so we're just biting on that. So we've probably got, let's scrape 1/1000th of an inch off that land, and we'll refit it. Because that's not pulling down on that tight, I was able to just move that a little bit. But basically we want clearance, but we want the minimal amount of clearance, like an oil clearance, you know. Okay, so we'll just scrape a bit off this land and keep coming back for a trial fit until we get this sliding with no binding. We'll just give this area a bit of a cross scrape. We're not printing this, so heavy stoning is fine. Yeah, if you stone too heavy, if you're printing, gives you big flat spots and smearing. Okay, let's have another test fit. We're just scraping to fit. It's just, yeah, roughing pass, so let's go and have a test fit. I've blued up the underside of this with a Sharpie to start and reveal any high spots. It's quite possible that we have to make this even, it could have worked out we're 1/1000 higher than the other end, because we don't know the lay of the land, the way the machine face is actually sitting now in relation to the bed after so many years of going up and down. Well, that's feeling really good. One scrape. Let's see if it'll do the full distance. Oh, excellent. Does. Okay, let's put a bit of tension on these bolts, about what you'd normally give them, something like that. You know, I reckon there's a couple of spots where we're just touching. I did feel that a little bit, running a little bit tighter. It wasn't quite gliding how it was. So our Sharpie marker should reveal the little tight spot. It's not really even a tight spot, you know. It's enough to stop this from gliding as it should. And it does. That corner there. That's not bad after one scrape. That's pretty darn good. So I'll just give that corner another scrape, and then I'll have another test fit. So you can just see the little snail trail there, that darker line from the oil. So that just backs up that we've got our underway guides ground spot on. So we'll just knock this off and we'll meet you back at the lathe. Okay, second test fit. I re-blued it up as well. So we can do these bolts up to full tension now. They are just standard mild steel machine bolts from back in the period, British Standard Whitworth. They're not like, you don't do them up anywhere near like you do a 5/8 bolt up on a piece of earth moving machine. You know, 5/8 bolts generally you're looking, depending on application on earth moving, 160 to 200 foot-pounds. So yeah, these are only just, as long as I've got a good net, that's all they need. That's perfect. So I'll just try a 1.5 thou feeler. 1.5 because it's the smallest one that I have, which is the one with the end missing off it. That fits in. Doesn't fit in this end though. Okay. I don't think we've got a 2. Okay, a 2 goes. Won't go that end though. Three. Four's dragging. Okay, to correct that, I'd have to set this up in the milling machine using the measurements we've just taken here and take a skim off the space where it bolts to that and then go through the whole process again. But so what that actually means is the front of the saddle has more wear on it than the rear, like it's running at a very slight angle. It's not much, but there is that bit of wear, which at this stage I don't think is going to affect anything, but let's wait till the very end, till we've got all of our checks done, and that will determine whether we readdress and do correct that rear one or not. There's a lot of things we've sort of got to partially put together and then make an assessment of where we're going. Like we need the apron on and then recheck that wear pattern underneath, and you know, there's a lot of things come into play. We just can't finish one area then move on and while we're working at this part. So this one here is the one for under the front, under here. I'll get that cleaned up, I'll bolt it up for a trial fit. Once that one's in, then we can put our main gib in, because it will support the gib. So I'll give this a clean up, bolt her up and see what happens. We'll take some measurements. Okay, that's the front one in place temporarily. And this allows us now to get our gib strip sorted out. So I have to make new screws for it, and seeing how we're a fair way in that side and hanging out a fair way that side, I'm going to have to shim it. So I'll cut some shims for the rear, and the screws adjuster screws are missing, so I'll have to make up a set of adjuster screws. Okay, that's our underway keepers temporarily installed. So we don't want to go and finish them off as best as we can get them at this stage. They just need to be there in some form of clearance so we can run our saddle up and down. Because we do not know yet, until we've got the weight of the apron on, if we have to address anything with our contact areas underneath. If we do, then it throws all these keepers out of adjustment and we have to go through the whole rigmarole again. But as long as they're in for now, we know our back one, we're running on minimal clearance up this end, which will be fine for all our trial fit-ups at this stage. So I've just got to make a decision now. Well, the other thing that will affect things too, with the apron on, we need to know that we're still in a reasonable location for all of our feed shafts to be in alignment as well. Now, if everything sits too low, then you've got to machine out the underside of your saddle and fit turkite and bring everything back up to its correct height. So that's a road I'm hoping we don't have to go down, but we don't know until our saddle's on, we've got our feed shafts in next. So I think I'm probably going to concentrate on the apron next, and we do need to remove this feed box, go through it, make sure everything's all right, get all our shafts cleaned up, so we can do a temporary fit up and see what's going on as well. But in the interim, I think we'll just hang the apron off as it is, so we can finish up our contact areas and these underway keepers. And once that's on and done, then we can do that will allow us to check any deflection in our cross slide way due to the weight of the apron as well, which was recommended to me to do it that way. So yeah, all progress, but yeah, a lot of things have to come together before you can finally before you finally know everything's right. Yeah, there's a lot involved in it, so yeah. So that's it in a nutshell. I think we'll bring this one to a close here. Yeah, so far so good, but fingers crossed. You don't know for sure until you got everything assembled up. You know, you don't want to make it all as perfect. As I said, go to put your feed shafts in and your apron's way too low. So something silly like that, you know. So, all right, cheers. Thanks for watching, and hopefully catch you in the next episode where we will be continuing on.